Hey everybody, St. Paul here, live from Times Square, and welcome to episode 9 of Music on the Run. This week's guest is Vince Wilburn Jr. Vince is Miles Davis's nephew, and of course we talked to Vince about music, his uncle Miles, his stint in his uncle's band, and we talk about what he's doing with the estate to keep Uncle Miles's legacy going. That's next on Music on the Run. Enjoy it.
Before we get started here, do me a favor, wherever you got this podcast, make sure you subscribe, give us a rating, and if you have time and you like what you're hearing, make sure you write a review. It really helps us get the word out so we can have a lot more people coming to the party. Hey everybody, St. Paul Peterson here, and welcome to yet another edition, a special edition of Music on the Run, live from the NAMM show in front of a live audience. Let me hear you. So those of you who don't know what NAMM is, NAMM stands for the National Association of Music Merchants, and there are, 100,000 crazy musicians and vendors and things like that here at this show, and I am in the Electro Voice booth, and they're a Minneapolis company. They're an incredible company, and they've invited me to come and share the stage here with some of my favorite people, and today is no exception. My guest today is a drummer, he's a producer, he's a businessman, he's a radio host, and I made this one up, Vince, a legacy caretaker. He's laughing back there. Happens to be the nephew of the late jazz icon Miles Davis, and he's continuing Miles' legacy through music by touring the Miles Davis Electric Band with the help of, and he's also helping with the estate. This is a guy who will always come to my aid. He's like family to me. Please put your hands together for Mr. Vince Wilburn Jr. Come on, baby. Let's hear it for Vince. Come on.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming by. I know it's a crazy time out there. Navigating NAMM is always loads of fun. Welcome.
Parking is great.
Parking's is loads of fun.
You got to bribe people and tip people. And,
I know.
$50, $60.
Chicago, huh?
Yeah. South side of Chicago.
Sorry about them Bears, man. We're taping this in January, by the way, so there's a lot of things that just happened, but I'm a Vikings fan.
Sad Bears.
I know.
We'll be back next year.
As will we.
Yeah.
We'll face off next year. You and I have similar backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up playing in Chicago in the Midwest,
mm-hmm.
where the cold keeps the bad people out,
mm-hmm.
for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And you grew up playing funk. Tell me actually, how did this all happen? Were you in a musical household, or?
Well, my mom was an educator, school teacher, and my dad was in the military. And then he went on to teach ROTC at different high schools. And I was just bitten by the bug when my uncle used to come and play and perform in Chicago. But the way I was bitten is that I would stay on the side of the stage. You know, while my parents went in the audience to see my uncle, I would stay in the wings. And so I was fixated on whatever the drummer was doing. You know, I mean, I would keep my eyes on Uncle Miles, but it was always about what the drummer was doing. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And that was it.
Gravitated towards the drum right
Tony
away.
Williams told Wallace Roney he knew I was going to be a drummer. Because I used to stare at him just like in awe, you know.
See, now you're mentioning all the names that I just have idolized my entire life, and you're standing on the side of the stage with them. Miles, Jack.
Yeah, but when you're young, you don't know the magnitude of, I never know how enormous of an artist that my uncle was. But as I got older, I would like kind of figured it out, As a kid, back when I was a kid, they didn't have TSA, so you could go meet the the passengers at the planes.
Oh, right.
But walking back from the plane back to the car, people would stop him. every 5 or 6 steps. And I'm like, why is everybody messing with Uncle Miles like this? and the older I, then I kind of figured it out, and then sitting and listening to records myself in the basement, and then he talked my mom into buying me a drum kit. So.
No kidding.
Oh yeah.
How old were you when you got that first kit?
6.
Is that right?
But he said, make sure that he's serious about it. Buy him an inexpensive
Sure.
kit. And if he was serious, then we'll get him something, professional kit.
So you started playing drums, man, and that turned into a whole thing. When were you starting to gig out and doing things like that?
Chicago, it was like Minneapolis. You had bands, we had talent shows, we had after-school programs. A lot of that is missing nowadays, and you don't have, the kids don't have any outlets, But the talent shows kept us off the streets, and the Battle of the Bands,
Sure.
I'm sure they had them in Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah.
We just formed groups. We had like a fraternity, and my mom, as long as my grades were great, we could rehearse in the basement every 5 days a week, and then play on the weekends.
And this is grade school or high school?
This is like high school, like
Okay.
grammar school, high school.
All right.
And Uncle Miles used to call the house and have my mom put the phone down and listen to us rehearse.
Did you know that he was listening?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did?
Because
Okay.
he would critique us after the rehearsals, and he
How would you
said,
like that,
right? Play this and tell Vince to do.
Who's the
Vince,
guy
you
on
do
the
this.
phone? It's just Miles Davis critiquing
But
me.
we didn't
That's
look
all.
at it like that. We knew who he was, but it was like, Uncle Miles was helping us out.
But that's fam.
Yeah. And so one time he called, he heard something in us. This went on for about 3 or 4 weeks straight. And then he critiqued us one day, and then after the critique, he said, "You guys want to make a record?" And that was Man with the Horn. And he flew us to New York to do Man with the Horn. That was 1979, 80.
Vince, what was the name of that band?
It was called AL7 or Data, because we played with the ALL, and we put
Okay.
the L of AL7, and it had 2 names.
Okay.
But man, we were like, yeah, and we flew to New York, and first thing we did, we ordered room service, and we invited all our boys who lived in New York over to the house and just ate, and they got on us about the room service.
What was it like to get the nod from your uncle? I mean, do you think that he had any kind of? Do you think that he hesitated at all and went, I don't want my nephew to come out here, and I want him to succeed? Or do you think it was any kind of a family thing that he wanted to encourage you, or did he want to keep that separate? How is that dynamic, I guess, is my question.
Well, I think he heard something in all of us, not just me, but all the guys in the band, and he just wanted to see where we could go with it, and we recorded like 30 songs in the course of a week, and Gil Evans was in the corner like smoking a joint, just chilling, and it was amazing, man. It was amazing. Tio Macero, the great producer, Macero, and Stan Tonka was engineer, and we recorded on 30th Street, that famous, where they did Bitches Brew and
right,
and all those,
that was
great
like
records.
home for him. I suppose.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
But the thing about playing with Uncle Mike, you don't have the time to think about it. You got to do it. It's like, let's go.
But you were ready. That sounds like you guys.
Well, you got to be ready.
So, explain to me the prep though, because maybe you were doing it subconsciously, but I think it's good for my listeners to know what the prep is for the actual nod. I mean, he called, but you could have been not ready too.
Yeah, but Paul, there was no prep, because he liked the spontaneity of the musicians. I have long discussions with Herbie and Chick about this. He heard things that we didn't know we had in us, and he sprinkled, and he would just give you just a little bit of advice, and then you could apply it to your instrument.
So maybe prep wasn't the right word, but he knew you could play.
Well, yeah. He heard something.
But
he sent me like these records like James Brown, The Big Payback, and the Immortal Otis Redding, and Slide and the Family Stones, and he loved Buddy Miles, the band of Gypsy.
Is that right?
Oh, loved him. He used to cook for Buddy Miles, like make bouillabaisse for Buddy,
So he was sending you records?
Oh yeah. Back then they had record guys,
Right,
So there was a guy named Granville White who would bring me stacks of records
to the house.
Yeah, and I would sit in the basement and play them.
No kidding.
Right.
So you had the
Sponge.
exposure of all different kinds of stuff, man. I mean, what was playing in the house? Give me some examples.
Well, thank God I had the parents who were supportive. That's
Yeah.
one thing, and we played, come home and do my homework, and then the cats would come over 6 to maybe 9 each night, 6 to 10, and we'd do it every day.
Right.
Because my mom grew up with Miles and his band, so she was chill with it.
She
was
knew
cool
all
with it.
about that.
Oh yeah, she was cool.
Right.
And my
So-
dad was cool.
So you play all sorts of different things. Now, you were in Cameo for a minute?
For a day or two. I was with Larry and when in 19 right after Man with a Horn.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, the
Cameo.
reason I bring that up is because I want to talk about versatility and the importance of versatility in your career, man, because you play all sorts of different genres. Is that an important thing to have?
It's very important, Paul. Coming up, Chicago had, man, we played polkas, we played blues, we played funk,
Right.
we played jazz. There was a group called the AACM, Association for Advancement of Creative Musicians. And that was with Phil Coran and Louis Satterfield and Earth, Wind and Fire, the horn players, and,
Okay.
and Don Myrick. All those cats were in this art ensemble of Chicago, in this organization. So that was one thing, and there was a place called the Transitions East. So we would go and check those cats out, and they'd call us in. We'd peek through the window, and they'd call us
Yeah.
in to play. So it was always, different. You had all the blues clubs.
Of course.
And then they had jingles. Jingles, you could do commercials, and it was so much to, so many opportunities.
So you were in the studio, you were playing live, and you were honing your chops that way, just
I
by
mean,
doing what you do.
People were giving us breaks.
Right.
Especially after they found out that we did a record with Miles. Then Ramsey Lewis called, and we get more sessions, and it was chilling.
Similar to what happened with me with Prince. Once you get that nod from Prince or someone at that level, people go, "Oh, he must be able to play because he's working with Miles."
It's validation,
Exactly
Validation,
right.
yeah. I call it Miles Davis University.
Tell me about Miles Davis University, man. How was he your teacher? How did he give you
you
that?
didn't have time to be nervous.
Yeah.
We were cutting Human Nature, and the drummer that was playing Human Nature didn't want to play it because he said that music is beneath you, Miles. You shouldn't play funk. So he left.
Right.
He left the studio. We were at the record plant in New York. So I was in the booth, and he said, "Nev, get on the drums." So they took his drums out, and they put Buddy Williams, a session
Sure.
drummer in New York. Buddy had a kit in the next studio, so they moved Buddy's drums in, and I played Human Nature. I mean, and it just happened just like that.
Dang.
What am I gonna do? Say, "Oh no, let me think about it." He said, "No."
No,
you
there
gotta-
ain't no thinking about it.
Hell no, no. Oh, can you say hell no?
You could say that.
Yeah. No.
So he threw you right into the fire, and then you responded, and he loved it. So he was about the spontaneity. Mm-hmm. It's funny with different artists because the reason this is so interesting for me is I really see how Prince modeled a lot of different things in his life after your uncle, and there's a couple different things that were opposite though, and one of them was, especially when I was in the group Morris in the time. I grew up in a bebop family, so and a drummer, by the way, and so my instruction from my family was play who you are, play what you want, right, Kenny Lee? Yep. All right, so that's how I grew up. When I got into the time, it was like erase all that. Here's your part, play it well, play it funky, do this. Now it seems to me that Miles had the philosophy of practice on stage.
Yeah.
Because I've read that.
Yeah, because you guys rehearse. Prince liked to rehearse a lot, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, he did.
And it's
Miles?
funny. He would just play the set list down 1 or 2 times, and then and then that was it. He'd call it, and everybody would be nervous at rehearsal, and then he'd say, "Okay, y'all got it," and then he would leave, and then as the tour took place, then he would shape the songs, shape the set list, switch the set list, and that's when the amazement of the creative flow of Miles happens, That's why he never liked to take 1 or 2, after 1 or 2 takes in the studio, he called a session because
That was it.
He said the freshness and the creativity was out,
I totally agree.
Because then you're just going through the shit and you're not really...
by the 9th or 10th take, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And then people revert back to the first take.
Yeah, then your focus is not on the music.
Well, exactly, right. It's on the click or
Exactly.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So tell me how you transition from just playing drum, not just, but playing drums into a co-producer role. How did that come about? For You're Under Arrest, didn't you co-produce
You know,
that?
he just wanted another set of ears. You know,
Okay.
I that co-producer thing is like it's the musical directions of music by Miles Davis. So that's what I respect. What we would do, Bobby Irving and I, or whoever was co-producing, we would take the tapes to him at the end of the night, and then he would critique them and tell us what to do the next day.
Right.
And he was nice enough to give us that credit, you know. But it was
Okay.
always under the direction of what he wanted to do, direction of Miles Davis.
But it was, like you said, a second set of ears.
Yeah. Well, it was second set of ears, and then Bobby Irving was another set of ears.
Yep.
And then he would bounce things off of us. But he had the ultimate, you know, of course,
Sure.
the final say.
But that's nice to get that nod as well as a co-producer.
Yeah, and you learned a lot, man. You learned, I learned with my band to spark the creativity of the cats. You know, don't beat it in their head. And let them be free. Let them breathe, and then you come up with some hip things. You know, keep it open.
Exactly, man. So you toured, and you continue to tour now. So because this is Music on the Run, and we like to talk about how you stay in shape and on the road and about your routines and passing down some information. Tell me a little about like a day in the life for you on the road.
Well, I try to get a workout in early in the morning.
What's that consist of?
Just anything, cardio or some light weights or
Okay.
just. I love to go on the beach. You know, just trying to get your heart pumping. And about 3 years ago, I stopped drinking, and that was worked the world.
Congratulations,
Oh, it was
man.
like, man, it was
Hey,
like, yeah.
all right.
Because I wasn't an alcoholic, but I like nice wines and
All right.
nice wines,
I
and nice
understand.
wines,
Lots of nice
and
wine.
so I never drank on stage, and I never drank. I would wait till after we played, and definitely never drank around Miles. Oh, you kidding?
Is that right?
Oh, heck!
Why is that?
No.
Why is that?
He didn't play that. As a kid, I saw him do battling drug abuse. But
Right.
But when I was in the band with him, all he drank was Perrier.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Well, you came back into you were in his life during his comeback. Is that how that kind of
Yeah,
was?
I would go visit him in summers.
Okay.
But he just said he didn't have anything to say. That's what he would always tell me. I don't have anything. I said, "Come on, Chief, you got to play again." I call him. That was his nickname, Chief. And sometimes I would cry because he would just not pick the horn up and just go and disappear for 3 or 4 days. Everybody knows, it's no secret.
Right.
And he'd come back and he wouldn't recognize me, and that would crush me.
Oh.
And then the things that when you're in the curse of drugs, people don't respect you.
Yeah.
The dealers didn't respect them, people didn't respect them, the label didn't respect them. So I think one day he said he just looked in the mirror and said enough.
Wow.
And he did it. And people say I was part of that, but no, he just stopped. He stopped cold turkey. And Cicely helped him too, Cicely Tyson.
Is that right?
She kicked all the drug dealers and all that whole party scene out. And they sold the brownstone, that famous brownstone.
Right, of course.
Yeah, and she got him in the herbs and working out, swimming every day.
You know what? They always say those kind of situations are an occupational hazard for musicians, entertainers, actors, that kind of thing. Do you think that's true, man, or is that kind of an old saying?
Well, I know. I can't. It won't work for me.
Right.
I want to be clear, and I want to remember the gigs, and I want to remember those moments in the cities that we tour all over the world. And I want to know what I said to certain people, and what I said in an interview, or what I said in a morning interview, because that's the one. When you try to pop Tylenols in and go and fake your way through a morning interview, and just
I've been there.
and just be cordial to
Once or twice.
people, and when you're meeting students and young musicians backstage or at meet and greets, you want to be clear.
Well, and people are watching, man.
Oh yeah.
People are watching,
Yeah.
people are listening, and people are modeling themselves after you, whether you know it or like it or not.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're setting an example for whomever.
Yeah.
Me, next
Yeah,
generation below us. So that's cool that you have that on your mind. Let's get back. Hey everybody, let's take a quick break because I want to talk to you about a couple different things. First of all, go over to patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast. That again is www.patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast. And that is where you can partner with us and financially support all the good things we're doing here on Music on the Run. Of course, there's a lot of incentives for you as well. Number one, you get a lot of behind the scenes footage, pictures, and maybe even some merch. I'm sure you can understand it takes a lot to put on these podcasts, and we love doing them, but it always costs money, and we would love to partner with you. So go over to patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast, and we'd love to have you as our partner. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the company Electro Voice. Electro Voice is a company based here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they specialize in PA speakers and, of course, microphones. They've taken good care of us for many, many years. Prior to me starting Music on the Run podcast, I've endorsed them for a very long time. And I'm actually speaking into one of their mics right now that is a staple in the radio business called an RE320. You know what's funny is that I actually use this mic a lot on hi-hats and bass cabinets, and it's so versatile. And it's just one of the many, many super high-quality professional microphones that Electro Voice has to offer. Go check them out. You can find them at your favorite music store or just go online at electrovoice.com. Hey, let's get back to that conversation on Music on the Run. Let's get back to the road thing. So you like to get a little workout, and now does that do something for you, man? Does that help you with the stress? Or
what it does, you breathe, and it helps you for the performance of the night. You got to get some kind of cardio in. You got to eat right. You
more than just playing drums.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to have your mind right, your body right, and it's the way you treat musicians and treat people, treat the promoters.
Right.
Just be clear. Have some clarity.
Yeah, man.
It's great to have clarity. Not be foggy all the damn time. Drunk and hanging over and popping Tylenol, and it gets old fast.
Right.
For me.
So talk to me about your road family and the Chicago connection. How important is that road family to you?
Well, it's like we used to sit in the car and talk about playing with Miles. Daryl Jones, who now plays with the Rolling Stones, and I got him the gig with Miles. Richard Patterson, who played with David Sanford, played with your brother. You play, Richard.
I know Richard because Richard was kind enough to me to let me sub for him in Boss Skaggs' band.
Yeah, Bobby Irving. I mean, these, we would just sit and dream about playing and touring, and then we started. Miles just gave us that launch. But yet we still, play together. We still try to tour together. We still
see you together all the time.
We definitely keep in touch.
There's a brotherhood, right?
Yeah. Just like Minneapolis, man.
Exactly what I was going to say. There's so many similarities. We've got Minneapolis in the house today. Yeah. Let me hear you, Minneapolis.
Just like Minneapolis.
Yeah. All over the place. That's so cool.
I got a story. My cousin went to school. My cousin is Herb and Joey Wilburn, right? And one day, it was the Dirty Mind tour. I'll never forget this. And Prince was walking and getting in his limousine. And he didn't know I was related to him. We didn't talk about the Miles or anything. I said, hey, Prince, my cousin, Herb and Joey Wilburn. And Prince stops. And he turns around. He said, yeah, man, tell him hello for me, Because people thought that Prince was, you can't talk to Prince and you can't, But that was kind of cool because they all went to Central High School. So I used to go up to Minneapolis, and I remember going to First Avenue.
Is that right?
Thinking how cool that was. Yeah, man.
It's still cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun back up there.
Yeah.
So you are continuing the legacy through touring with the Miles Electric Band. Is that something you're going to do going forward, or?
Well, what we're doing now, we recorded a new record with a drummer named Lenny White, one of my idols. And what we're trying to do is called the Miles Electric Band, but we started to be categorized as a tribute band. So I'm trying to break away from that tribute band. So we're recording all new music with Ron Carter and John Schofield, Vernon Reed, and Paulino from Cuba, Martinez,
Okay.
Pedrito
Yeah.
Martinez. And Herbie once told me, he said, hey, man, I love what you guys are playing and the way you're playing our music, meaning when he was in the band. But
Sure.
you guys are putting a different spin on it. But I just thought it was time for us to just take a, like Miles, go another avenue.
That's an interesting discussion because, once again, the Miles camp with you, and now that Prince is gone, there are many people who are carrying on the legacy of the music of Prince as well, in many different facets. And there's a lot of discussion and discrepancies about who should do what, why, and how, and when, and who has the right to do whatever. It's an interesting dichotomy, I believe, because I think that everybody, and I'm including myself in this as well, because I spent 3 or 4 years in the Prince camp, and it was a huge part of my life. It was of my career. It was a launch, just like Uncle Miles was for you. So to share this music with not only the fans that he gave to us through the songs that he wrote for us, but also to pass that music that he created on and continue to do that in a integral manner, I think is important to his legacy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and you were doing that with the Miles Electric Band as well.
Yeah,
right?
because
But you were done with that. You want to take a different
I
spin?
don't want to say done, but we just want to take make another turn and do something different. I mean, because you can only play In a Silent Way so many times, so many variations,
Right.
Or Jean Pierre, or Jack Johnson, or
Purple
And we
Rain.
love the music, Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to, and then as an artist, you want to grow, you want to branch out, you want to play, Plus, my agent was like, "Hey, man, I got to, I can't, you guys got to switch up, play, record some new music." And Sony was happy to sign us and be behind us. Matter of fact, the single is out on the Birth of the Cool. I don't know if anybody seen it. It's Birth of the Cool is a new documentary on Miles.
Yeah.
Nominated for a Grammy for the documentary.
And an NAACP
Image Award. Yeah.
Congratulations,
yeah. Thanks, man.
Tell me about your
Stanley
involvement
Nelson.
in that. I want to hear a little bit about that, man, because that's, for me, I think that's huge, and it's a part of who you are and what you're doing with Miles's son and daughter, right?
Yes.
For part of the
Aaron and
estate.
Cheryl.
Explain that relationship.
Well, it's called Miles Davis Properties LLC, and we control the likeness of Miles. Anything you ever see.
Is it okay that I'm wearing this coat?
Yeah, but you got to send us a check. No. But music and likeness, and we've done well. He's been gone since September 28th, 1991, and we just try to keep. We get so many requests for licensing for his likeness, for merch, and we did a movie called Miles Ahead with Don Cheadle.
Right.
In 2016, and we won a Grammy for the soundtrack.
Congratulations.
But some critics didn't dig it, but I love Don Cheadle. I kind of handpicked him to do the movie, and so after Miles Ahead, Stanley Nelson came back to us. That's the director for Birth of the Cool, and said, "Hey man, I'd like to take a stab at this again." And we said, great. And it was the time. When it's time to do something, and we signed off on it. But we weren't privy to see any of the making. We weren't privy. Like I couldn't go to Aaron's interviews or Francis, his wife, or he didn't want it like that. Quincy, I couldn't go over to Quincy's house, Herbie's house, and he didn't show us the actual link of the film until the day before we would go to Sundance. And I saw it, man. It came in late at night. He lives in New York. He lives in Harlem, and I cried because it was so touching. We didn't sugarcoat anything. It's the good and the bad. We didn't condone the spousal abuse and the drug abuse, but it's in there. It's a public record.
It's part of his story.
Yeah, but what it did portray for me, that Miles came out on top the way he wanted to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I applaud Stanley Nelson because he's a monster. I hope he wins this Grammy next week.
Absolutely, and we'll know by the time this comes out. So I'm going to just say congratulations in advance
for pulling for him.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the estate. How do you keep the Miles Davis estate and likeness preserved and future-proof? How do we keep that incredible music and that incredible man to the forefront for generations to come? What's the plan?
What you do, you just don't. We don't want to, for lack of a better word, pimp the audience or, put them on lunch boxes and shit. We try to tastefully keep the brand, fresh and either with thinking in the way Miles would want to do it. We've had requests to do licensing from hip hop groups, and I remember this. I won't name the name of this one group, and the first thing they wanted to do Sketches of Spain, and they sent us a demo, and the first thing out of their mouth were beat bitches and hoes, and we were like, no, and they wanted to offer us a lot of money, so we were like, no, it's not about the money, it's never about the money,
right?
It's about the integrity of the brand.
Absolutely.
So, and so it comes at us licensing and merch and things come at us, 3 or 4 times a week.
So tell me a little bit about you said Miles Davis changed clothes 6 times a day. Now he's got to have enough stuff in the warehouse for a museum of his own. Is there anything like that in the works?
Yeah, we have a museum called We Want Miles, and it travels the world. It was in Montreal, it was in Paris, it was in Brazil, and the first week in Sao Paulo, 600,000 people saw it.
Oh man!
But it's very expensive to travel, So we have to get underwriters. But we just got a call to try to bring it to Cuba, They're interested in it. So
I think it's incredibly important that for people to see that.
Oh, yeah. This is a walk through his life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move into something I want to talk about, which is the modern music business. How do you see where we're at? What advice do you have for somebody coming up, man? Because you and I, we're old dogs. We've got our paths paved at this point, which is a beautiful thing. But I've got a kid in the music business who came out and sang with me. She moved to LA. She made the leap. Mm-hmm. I'm scared to death for her, but she's not scared because she's 24. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't scared when I was 24 either. But being the age that I am, and I'm her dad, I'm going, ooh, this is a whole new ballgame. Mm-hmm. How do you think kids make art and money at the same time in 2020?
You have to be different, and you have to be sure of whatever you're going to do. I love to check out new groups and new artists and dig what they're doing, but have it to be, you got to be talented, of course, but just reach for the stars. Don't be afraid to reach and don't be complacent. Because we need more Miles Davises and more Princes and those type of artists. So I always tell young artists that I meet is just go for the stars. Know your craft. And study your instrument. Study your if it's a voice. Listen to older artists. For the foundation.
Absolutely.
You got to.
So I don't think you're really saying that the game, as far as where you're coming from internally, has changed from when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's that same passion. It's that same drive. My mom never said, oh, you really should think about this. This isn't a great career. You're not going to make a lot of money. It's like becoming a professional athlete. My mom was an incredible jazz pianist, and all Mom did was feed me gigs. She always supported, and I think that support group around you, people that believe in you, is worth more money than anything.
Definitely.
As well.
I mean, I had a lot of friends who didn't have supportive parents, and man, I felt for them. So dads were just always down on them. Mom was, what I mean? Just
absolutely.
Talk down on them.
You do a lot for education. Explain to me your heart for education. What are you doing? I know you're at South by Southwest. What are you talking about at those places?
Well, at South by Southwest, we have what do you call it? We title it the Miles Davis House, and we break new groups and indie bands, because everybody needs a shot, and then we'll have a headliner, like a top name.
Sure.
But Karen Sundell and my cousin Aaron, our publicist Karen Sundell and my cousin Aaron, they pick the bands, And it's great to hear all these bands, man, because it's, killer bands out here in the world, And so I just sit and announce them and introduce them and sit back and check them out. I never want to be closed-minded to anybody out here trying to make it in the game. Because somebody gave me a break, my uncle.
Right.
And look how many people Miles gave a break to. And how your mom was supportive, and
Absolutely.
Prince, and you know what I mean. So we have to keep that flow, that lineage.
That reach is so far. I mean, not only my musical family, the Peterson family, I'm the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
The lives that they have touched and supported artists coming up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and then growing into the Prince camp. I've got some brothers and sisters from the Prince camp in the audience here today. Let me hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a few of them anyway. But we are bonded by that guy, and we'll always have that, and we were supported. And he touched so many other people's lives and gave the opportunity, the nod, and noticed something in each and every one of us, and really launched a lot of careers out of that. And I look at that as a 50-plus-year-old man, and that's what I think my legacy should be. What is Vince Wilburn's legacy?
Well, I would just like to keep the music flowing, and long after I'm gone, just to say, hey, he cared about the music, because I grew up in Chicago, and Earl's from Chicago, and some people here from Chicago, and it's so violent now, and so kids killing each other, and back when I was coming up, you had a fist fight, and that was it, and then the next day, y'all were buddies again.
Right.
But how can you take somebody else's life? I think that, and I'm not here to preach, but if you had after-school programs,
right,
music programs, social studies where you get together after school,
right,
you wouldn't have that if we had instruments. We have a Miles Davis Academy, and they had padlocks on the library at the Miles Davis Academy, and no music in the school, Because anytime they have cutbacks, music and phys ed is the first thing to go.
That's correct. That has got to change, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's my fight. All over the world, I try to go and I visit the kids.
So when you're on tour, do you go out to different places?
Man, I was in Soweto, and I went to Mandela's school and just sat and talked to the kids, and of course we had translators and just hung. Anywhere I go in the world, I try to do that. And I cry, and I get soft. I'm a big kid, but
man, that's all
it's
about,
important, man.
It sure
it's
is.
Important. You remember when the firemen came to your school, or
yes,
the policemen came? Now I got a police officer friend in Chicago. He said, man, even though we wear body cameras, man, the cats, these kids talk about our mothers, talk about our wives, call our mothers hoes. Now, how you gonna tell a police officer, call a police officer's mother a hoe? But that's the sign of the times, and sad.
Doesn't have to be, man.
It's sad, but we can change it. And you and I hope, are changing.
I'm telling you, and Victor was in here, Victor Wooten was here yesterday, and he feels the exact same way. He said to me yesterday, the world already has a bunch of great musicians. What the world needs more of is great people.
Yeah.
And that's how we change this, I think. That's how we make a difference in this world.
Yeah. I noticed another thing when a kid would come backstage to see Uncle Miles, how he would tell him to keep playing, or he would have a cool word for him. I checked that out too. And that's important for a kid to hear that from Miles Davis or from anybody. And keep at it.
Right.
Tony Williams asked him, could he sit in when Tony was little? Tony was like 15 or 14. He said, no, just go listen, sit down and listen. Then Tony came back at 16, 17 and turned that quintet around. He was fiery.
One of my favorites of all time. And you got to sit by the side of the stage and watch your heroes.
Yeah, Tony, Al Foster, Jack DeJohnette.
What was it like to hang with Al Foster?
He used to tell me, he said, move to New York. This is what he would always say, move to New York. You got to move to New York. He was very supportive.
Wow.
All the musicians that ever played with Uncle Miles were supportive of my career, and I still keep in touch with them. What's the biggest thing that
impact that Miles made on you? If you could take it away one thing, what's the biggest impact? Miles
to
had
be
on.
true to the music.
Okay.
Yeah, don't cheat the music. You know, I mean, this man had Ferraris and houses in Malibu, a penthouse in New York, but he was always about the music. You know, he was the first one to get up in the morning, the last to go to sleep at night, and I would see how the love and the passion of music was in him. You know, and I was like, damn, this is wow. You know, just if he wasn't playing the trumpet, the board tape, the concert tapes would be on, playing in the background, or new music would, the new records he was working on was on, or MTV or something was on the TV with the sound down. But it's always music. It's always music. Always music. You know,
Always
that's something
by.
that I'll never forget. I'm sure Prince was that way. I'm sure your family too. You know.
I always say I had no choice. really, I mean, it was weird. I always thought I was the youngest of 5 kids, and I am the youngest of 5 kids, and I always thought, since my brothers and sisters played, I'd be going down to a friend's house, and I'm like, what does your mom and dad play?
Yeah.
Because I was surrounded by music all the time.
Yeah.
From bebop to hip-hop, well, not hip-hop.
When you could play music or sports, you could walk, the gangsters wouldn't mess with you when you you could walk down the street, and they say, hey, man, you can't mess with Vince, man. You got a badass little band, so that you got the pass.
Right. Well, it's important for me to have you on this show, man, because what you bring and the light that you bring, man, you and I are fairly new friends, but I can tell you the instant that we became friends, we were family, because anything I've ever asked you, questions, you're always there for people, and that's what everybody says about you too, man, and you keep being that light.
Man, if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
I'm telling you.
Our friend Ndugu Chancellor, he passed away a couple of years ago. His house caught on fire at 4 a.m. this morning. So I woke up, took a shower, and I was with his son until about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Then I came here to NAMM, but I something told me that I had to be there for his son, and that's what we do. He lost. His name is Rashawn. Rashawn lost his dad's drum sets, all the records, all the plaques, all those things Ndugu Chancellor worked for are gone. Just like that.
But so you were there for him.
Yeah, I had to.
That's what you do, man.
And I was thinking about canceling. I was like, let me call Paul. I'm like, no, I can't cancel on you either. So,
Thank you.
But that's what we do. We're there for each other, and we have to continue to be there for each other. And I just want to say, don't stop that hunger and thirst for music, that passion for music. Because I watch Miles, I'm like, shh, if he can do it, I know,
What's real quick, because we got to wrap it up here. And by the way, thank you for taking the time out. I know how busy you are. Tell me about your radio show.
It's called Evolution of the Groove on KPFK 90.7 FM, Los Angeles. It's just another medium
outlet.
to man, just to play some music, and talk to some people about music. That's what I like to do.
Who have you had on your show?
Verdine White. I had the Ohio players, Jim Diamond, Diamond Williams. I've had Clayton Cameron. I've had Manyongo Jackson. I've had Phil Upchurch. I've had everybody. Anybody I call is always, when you want me to do it,
That reminds me of this, man. I mean, the worst they can say is no.
No, man,
Nobody does. I want to do it.
We have to, we're the messengers. We have to continue to be the messengers and spread the love and, spread this music, man. Because if we don't, and if it stops or if it starts to taper off, then who's going to do it? We don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
How do we find out all the different things that you're doing? Can you give us some a website?
MilesDavis.com is this website, and my personal website is neftrum.com or mileselectricband.com, and then my Instagram is NEFOFMILES of Miles.
Beautiful. Just to remind folks, if it's an audio podcast, but we also actually have a video podcast as well. If you want to see what we're doing here at the NAMM show, go to patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast. And then you can partner up with us and see all the good things that we're doing here as well for our video podcast. Thank you so much. And by the way, before I forget,
the jacket?
We're sitting, you can't have the jacket. We're sitting here at Electro Voice here at the NAMM show, the National Association of Music Merchants, and we have a gift for you. It's the mic that we've been using for every single podcast that we've been doing. It's an RE320 as our way of saying thank you to you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, man.
Give it up for Vince Wilburn.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
That's all we got for you today. We'll see you the next time. This is Music on the Run podcast. My name is St. Paul. We're out. Thank you so much. Vince, thank you, bro.
Thanks, man.
Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Recorded and produced by Davide Raso. Video editing by Ivan Sebastianov. A very special thanks to the patrons who financially support this podcast. And remember, we'll never be as cool as Uncle Miles. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Vince Wilburn Jr. here on Music on the Run. In a couple of weeks, we welcome percussionist extraordinaire Lenny Castro. Remember, with all that's going on in the world today, to be good to each other, be safe, be healthy, and we look forward to having you back for the next episode of Music on the Run.